Hello, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to Business Breakthroughs presented by Invest Ottawa. I'm your host, Barbara Balfour. Stay with us for the next 30 minutes as we chat with local business owners who have navigated crisis during lockdown and who will share some of their secrets to staying resilient in challenging times. Tonight's show is the Pet Services Edition, and I have the great pleasure of being joined by two entrepreneurs who are very passionate of taking care of your four-legged friends in every way possible. Next, I'm delighted to introduce Amy Shannon Leclair, who is the president and CEO of Loving Paws and House Sitting. Amy Shannon launched one of Ottawa's first professional pet care companies and has been successfully in business since 2005. She offers services like dog walking, pet sitting, nail trims, and virtual vet care in cities across Ontario. Her company was voted Ottawa's best dog walking company of 2021. Thanks so much for joining us, Amy Shannon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, you've obviously both been through a lot in the past year and a half, and I'm curious to know, to what degree do you think the pandemic has helped Canadians understand the lives of small business people? Have you found that your clients have become more understanding, or have they adjusted their expectations? I'm curious to hear about the feedback that you've received in your community. Amy Shannon, let's start with you.
Well, I was very lucky. I had a great support system when it came to our clients respecting the boundaries that COVID brought on. But at the same time, we had some clients that continued to pay for services even though they weren't receiving them, just to make sure that we would stay open for them for when it's all done and said and done, that we're still here.
That's huge. I guess you weren't expecting that.
No, not at all. It was definitely a blessing.
And so, did you end up losing business during the COVID pandemic with more people being home?
Oh, yes. And we earned a lot of new clients during the process, but at the same time, a lot of our regular clients, they're still working from home over a year now. And some of them back to working in the building. They might continue to just work remotely. So we're trying to do some pet care education when it relates to separation anxiety, behavioral issues, mom and dad working long hours because they're working remotely. So
I guess it's a huge transition when you're going off to work every day and all of a sudden you're at home with your pets 24/7. It's hard on both the owner and the dog.
Yes, definitely. Some owners, they say, my dog's driving me crazy. I need you to come and walk.
So it sounds like you may have even received more business because everybody was at home.
Well, not for pet sitting, of course, which was a big part of the services we offer, but our medical care has definitely increased. So a lot of people are having a hard time getting vet appointments to either weekly subcutaneous therapy. So we actually provide those services at home now. Well, we have since the beginning, but it's definitely been an increase in services that we've provided.
I'm struck how in my conversations with many entrepreneurs, they've all gone through some form of experience that has in some way prepared them somehow for what they went through during the pandemic. And that's a great segue to talk about your experience, Amy Shannon, where you had to do a pivot of your own years ago where you experienced a pretty significant injury. Tell us a little bit about that and how that affected your business.
Well, I broke my back falling off a horse. Thankfully, not mine, but I was hospitalized for a period of time, of course, in rehab and so on. And so I needed somebody to really step in and take care of my clients. So I hired one of my sitters, dog walker, as the admin assistant. And she took care of all the communications and emails and bookings. And she was definitely a blessing. Unfortunately, with COVID, I had to let her go, but I hope that she'll return someday. But regarding my back, it did make it harder for me to be able to continue doing the pet sitting and the dog walking. So my team definitely got larger to accommodate all these requests. So we're now about 20 sitters, dog walkers across Ottawa and Mississauga, Hamilton, and Windsor. So after COVID, we do plan on expanding some more.
That's very encouraging news. I'm curious, as you grow, that it comes with some growing pains, and I'm wondering what are some of the challenges associated with finding reliable employees?
Well, we're actually hiring right now to get ready for after the lockdown is over. I want to make sure I have the team in place. And it's difficult because a lot of people, they just want it as a side hustle. But we require that you're invested in your continuing education, that you get first aid and CPR training, and that you have skill set to bring to the team. Loving animals is definitely a great start, but we do look for other skill sets. So it is challenging to find the right team, and I don't want to compromise on who I hire because that represents, my reputation and also the reputation of our team. So it is a challenge, but we'll get through it.
Did you start with the idea for your business by once being a pet sitter or a dog walker yourself? How did it all start?
Well, I actually worked at one of the largest animal hospitals in Ottawa, and I would regularly see patients coming in while under the care of a neighbor or a friend or a hobby pet sitter. And these emergencies could have been avoided if the person was properly prepared or at the same time educated more in pet behavior or medical care. So that got my brain going, and I'm like, okay, this is pets, and I would worry about them going back into care. So that's kind of how I started to pay attention. I wrote a book that's emergency handbook for my team that they have, and that educates them on the medical aspects, so signs to watch out for various common illnesses. And that's pretty much how I started.
How many pets do you have?
I currently have 2 dogs and 3 horses.
Oh, that's
I live in the
fantastic. You must.
country.
I was just going to say you must live out in the country, and your love for animals shines through. You recently won the Faces Award. Tell us about that.
Oh my goodness. That was a huge surprise, to be honest. I really wasn't expecting it. I had no idea who nominated us. Either it's a client or, another business. I have no idea, but it really was a huge surprise. And even the whole team, they're proud of this, award. It's not a nomination anymore.
Before COVID, do you think people relied more heavily on word of mouth referrals than on search engines? I mean, it's such an emotional topic because our pets are our family members and we can't just hand them over to anyone. What do you think about this, Amy Shannon? What has your experience been?
Absolutely. I mean, when I first started the business, that was my first priority, is to network with animal hospitals. And the reason for that is everybody tends to trust their veterinarian, right? So I definitely built the business through word of mouth and referrals from veterinary hospitals. And then as technology changed, it became a lot of search engine referrals, if you wish. And as she mentioned, our Google reviews, I mean, we're very proud. We have a 5-star Google review, and our clients, they go above and beyond to try to, at the same time, not only reassure prospect clients, but also at the same time, giving praise to our team members.
So, have you found that the digital marketing strategy is the first thing to go by the wayside when you're just scrambling and trying to make a living? And especially when you've done so well on just word of mouth referrals so far anyway?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm lucky in the sense that I do run the business from home and my team is dispatched to their clients. So I do have the time to dedicate to it. But Digital Main Street from Invest Ottawa, that's the one thing that they really helped us with, is to create an online branding and keeping the posts engaging and educational. And so that was a really great help.
How did you come across Invest Ottawa?
Well, I was getting very nervous. I have a team that I wanted to make sure they kept their jobs through COVID, and I did some online research, and I found them on one of the government's websites. Reached out, and it went from there.
Unfortunately, these shows are never long enough when it comes to what we can talk about, but can you tell us quickly what you've got in the works for the future? Anything else that you'd like to promote moving forwards?
Well, I wanted to mention that we did, throughout the COVID lockdown, launch our virtual veterinary consultations. We collaborate with Vetster. It's telemedicine, so it's just like calling in the nurse, but you're actually speaking to a veterinarian. So they can cover topics like skin issues, vomiting and diarrhea, those basic questions that are not an emergency, but even if you thought it was and you're unsure, you can reach out to a veterinarian instead of Facebook. But otherwise, moving forward, we're going to be promoting more and more our medical care, because that has increased significantly, and I don't think that that's going to change. And as I mentioned, we're going to expand to other cities in Ontario.
Well, it's wonderful to talk to you both and to hear that you've both been doing so well, that you've been managing your businesses and your clients, and you're continuing to take care of all our pets in the Ottawa and Ontario region. It's been a real pleasure connecting with you today. I want to thank you both for providing us with a front row seat to what it means to be a business owner in these challenging times. So thank you, Kyla, and thank you, Amy Shannon. Best of luck to you in your business. And to those of you who are watching tonight's episode of Business Breakthroughs presented by Invest Ottawa, don't forget to support local. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night.